Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Nurse Educator. Today's topic is heart. We will discuss the topic in detail. Let's start the video. What's the heart? Heart is a roughly cone-shaped hollow muscular organ. It is cone-shaped. Hollow means empty from inside, and the muscular organ, okay, it is having so many muscles, okay, and the muscle layer is very thick, and the function of a heart is to pump the blood throughout the blood vessels by repeated and rhythmic contractions. Because of the contraction and relaxation of the heart is going to pump the blood throughout the body. Okay, the term cardia means, which is related to heart, it is a Greek word cardia, which comes from the heart. The human heart is about the size of a fist. Okay, fist jitna hoga hamara, our heart is also that size. It is about 12 centimeter long, 9 centimeter wide, and 6 centimeter thick. The weight of the heart is 225 grams in women and 310 grams in men. Okay, in both men and women, the weight of the heart is varying. Okay, it is somewhat different. Okay, yes, then we will see the position of the heart. The heart lies in the thoracic cavity, okay, where the lungs are present. The space is called as mediastinum, okay, the space between two lungs. It is slightly left of the middle in the chest. Okay, it is anterior to the vertebral column. You can see in the picture vertebral column के सामने में है, and it is posterior to the sternum. Okay, you can see in the picture where the sternum is. Okay, it is posterior to the sternum के पीछे में है. Okay, then it lies obliquely, little more to the left, as I already told. It is tilted, it is not straight, it is tilted, and it is lying more to the left side than the right, and presents as a base above. Okay, the base of the heart is in the upper region. Upper wale region mein we see the base of the heart is present, and in the apex, and the apex of the heart is below. That means at where the diaphragm is present, okay, there we can see the apex of the heart. It is pointed in the inferior region in the sense in the down region or the niche wala region. Okay, yes, you can see the picture of the cross section of the heart. Okay, there are two lungs, thoracic vertebrae, sternum. Okay, the organs associated with the heart: inferiorly, the apex is resting on the diaphragm. Yes, you can see. Superiorly, the great blood vessels, for example, aorta, superior vena cava, pulmonary veins, and pulmonary arteries are present in the superior region, in the upper region. Okay, posteriorly, we can see the picture: the esophagus, trachea, left and right bronchus, descending aorta, inferior vena cava, and thoracic vertebrae are present. Then, laterally, side by side, there are lungs, and anteriorly there is sternum, ribs, and intercostal muscles. Okay, between the ribs there are intercostal spaces. In these spaces there is a presence of intercostal muscles. Then we will see what is the structure of a heart. The heart wall consists of three layers: the outer pericardium, middle myocardium, and inner endocardium. Okay, then we'll see the outer pericardium. It is a membranous sac that surrounds the heart. It consists of two layers: the inner visceral layer and the outer parietal pericardial layer. Okay, between these two layers there is a space called as pericardial cavity. Okay, this cavity consists the pericardial fluid. Then we will see the two layers, that is the parietal pericardium. The parietal pericardium is the protective sac. Okay, it is made up of two layers: the outer fibrous and the inner serous. The outer fibrous is formed by the thick fibrous tissues. Okay, Okay, there are fibrous tissues. It protects the heart from overstretching. Overstretching during the contraction and relaxation, it is protecting the heart. The inner serous layer, it is made up of squamous epithelial cells which secretes a small amount of fluid. Okay, the fluid is nothing but the pericardial fluid, or we'll call it as in serous fluid. Okay, this fluid prevents from friction in the sense एक दूसरे का जो भी खींचने वाला जो भी motion होगा, okay, that friction it is preventing, and it allows the free movement of the heart. The next layer is the visceral pericardium. We'll also call it as a periepicardium. Okay, it lines the surface of the myocardium. Okay, the myocardium is the second layer of the heart. Okay, it lines the second lining of the myocardium. You can see the picture. In the picture you can see the parietal pericardium, the visceral pericardium, pericardial cavity, and the fluid which is present in the pericardial cavity. Okay, that is the pericardial fluid. The second layer is the myocardium, is the muscular middle layer of the heart that consists of cardiac muscle cells, or we will also called as cardiac myocytes. It forms the bulk of the heart. Bulk in the sense the most bigger or the most thicker portion of the heart is made up of the middle layer. Okay, it is responsible for pumping action of the heart. It is involuntary in nature. Involuntary in the sense it is not controlled by our will, it is controlled by the nervous system. Okay, it has three types of muscle fibers. The first fiber is forming the contractile unit of the heart. It helps in contraction of the heart. Okay, contraction, pumping of the heart. It forms the pacemaker. Pacemaker in the sense it is carrying the electrical impulses from the SA and AV nodes. And the third is it forms the conducting system of the heart. Conducting system in the sense the electrical impulses which is carried by SA and AV node is now transferred towards whole heart. Okay, like by the Purkinje fibers. Okay, all the electrical impulses are carried by this conducting system of the heart. Okay, you can see in the picture the myocardial layer. Then we will see the third, that is the endocardium, is formed by the epithelial cells and forms the innermost lining of the heart. The innermost lining of the heart, okay, which lines the heart chambers and valves. Okay, the inner surface of the heart. Okay, this layer ensures the smooth flow of the blood. Blood का smooth flow होने के लिए it helps. It is the function. Okay, it forms a single layer of the endothelial cells. These endothelial cells continues with the endothelium lining of the blood vessel. Okay, ये endothelial cells जो है single layer, they are again continued by the blood vessels of the heart. Okay, you can see the picture. There is right atrium, left atrium, and ventricles. Okay, the endocardium is lined by the epithelial cells in the chambers and valves. Then we will see what are the heart chambers and valves. The human have 4 chambers. You can see in the picture the right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle, and left ventricle. Okay, what is the function of these atriums? They are responsible for pumping the blood and maintaining the blood circulation throughout the body. Okay, blood का circulation जो भी होता है, okay, the contraction, relaxation, everything is controlled by the chambers of the heart. Okay, the heart is divided into left and right side by partitions called as septa. Okay, singularly we'll call it as in septum. The atria will have interatrial septum which separates the upper 2 chambers. The ventricle have intraventricular septum which separates the 2 lower chambers. You can see the picture. Atria of the heart. The atrias are the receiving chamber of the heart. They are separated by interatrial septum. Okay, the interatrial septum in fetus is open. Okay, and it is called as foramen ovale. After the fetus is born, This interatrial septum is closed. It is marked by the pectinate muscles and the pump blood into ventricles. Okay, the atria pumps the blood in ventricles. How the atria are receiving the blood? The right atria receives the blood from superior and inferior vena cava and coronary sinuses. Coronary sinuses, the heart itself is draining the deoxygenated blood in right atrium. The left atria receives the blood from pulmonary veins. Okay, from pulmonary veins the oxygen is receiving to the the left atrium. You can see in the picture. Okay, superior inferior vena cava, coronary sinuses drains the blood into right atrium, and the pulmonary veins left and right are draining the blood in left atrium. Then we'll see what are the ventricles of the heart. The ventricles are the discharging chambers of the heart. The papillary muscles and trabecular corneae muscles mark the ventricular walls. The right atrium pumps the blood in pulmonary trunk. The left atrium pumps the blood into aorta. Okay, the left ventricle, the muscle layer or the middle myocardial layer is very thicker due to the greater workload. Okay, there are two circulations. One is pulmonary and the second is systemic. The pulmonary is supplied by right atrium, which needs very less pressure system, requiring very less energy, and the systemic circulation supplied by left ventricle is a higher pressure system and thus requires more forceful contraction. Okay, why it needs more forceful contraction? Because it is supplying the all over the body. Okay, it is supplying the blood to the aorta, so it requires more higher pressure system, requiring more forceful contraction. Okay, you can see here in picture, from right atrium to ventricle, it enters in pulmonary arteries, the blood, and from left ventricle the blood is entering the aorta. Okay, then we'll see what are the heart valves. Okay, the heart valves ensures unidirectional blood flow. Unidirectional in the sense only one directional blood flow through the heart. These are composed of endocardium with the connective tissue. Here the connective tissue is present. There are two major types of valves. One is atrioventricular valves and the other is semilunar valves. Atrioventricular valves, AV valves, lies between atria and ventricles. The right AV valve is called as tricuspid valve. Okay, why it is called tri? It is called tri because it has three flaps or three leaflets. The left AV valve is called as bicuspid or mitral valve because it has two flaps or two leaflets. The AV valve prevents the backflow of the blood into atria when ventricles are contraction. Whenever the ventricles contract, okay, during the contraction, the blood should not enter the atria. So this AV valve prevents that backflow to atrium. You can see the picture of the tricuspid and bicuspid valve. Then we'll see what are the semilunar heart valves. The semilunar valves prevent the backflow of blood into ventricles. Okay, there is aortic semilunar valve, which is lying between left ventricle and the aorta. The pulmonary semilunar valve, which lies between the right ventricle and the pulmonary trunk. Okay, the heart sound which we are listening, that is lub and dub, it is due to the valve closing. Okay, the lub sound will hear by the closing of AV valves, and the dub sound we hear by closing of semilunar valves. Okay, you can see the picture of the valves here: aortic valve, pulmonary valve, tricuspid valve, and mitral valve. Okay, there are 4 valves. Okay, then we will see the next topic, that is blood vessels of the heart. The blood vessels of the heart brings blood to the lungs where oxygen enters the bloodstream, and then that blood is entering the body. Okay, we will see the sequence. The inferior and superior vena cava brings oxygen poor blood, that is deoxygenated blood, from the body into the right atrium. And the pulmonary artery, okay, it carries the deoxygenated from the right ventricle into lungs, where oxygen enters the bloodstream. Okay, then whereas on the other hand, we see the pulmonary veins bring the oxygen rich or oxygenated blood to the left atrium, and the aorta carries oxygenated or oxygen rich blood to the body from the left ventricle. You see the picture from right to right ventricle, from there in the pulmonary artery to the lungs, and at the left atrium, from there the blood enters the left ventricle to the aorta and to the body. Okay, this is the pathway of the blood flow. You can see this flow chart, how the blood is transported from the heart to the lungs, from the lungs to the heart and to the body. Okay, right atrium, right ventricle, pulmonary artery, from there to pulmonary veins, from pulmonary veins left atrium, left ventricle, aorta, arterioles of each organs, veins of each organs, from vena cava again to the right atrium. Okay, so this is the flow chart for the pathway of the blood flow from heart to the lungs, and from lungs again to the heart and to the body. Okay, then we will see the last topic, that is blood supply to the heart and the venous drainage of the heart. The blood supply to the heart and the venous drainage of the heart. Okay, for pumping of the blood, even the heart needs blood supply. Okay, the blood supply to the heart is carried out or brought out by the right and left coronary arteries, which is coming immediately from the aortic valve. From the aorta, the heart receives 5% of the 5% of the blood pumped from heart. Okay, and from 100%, 5% is required by the heart, and the remaining 95% is sent towards the body or all the body organs. Okay, the venous drainage is by the coronary sinus. As I told, the coronary sinus will carry the deoxygenated blood, and it drains that deoxygenated blood into the right atrium. Okay, thanks for watching my video. Please like, subscribe and share my channel.